You know, I was on a roll. I had to end that last one, so I'm going to go into part two. And I cannot assure you that there won't be a part three because there have been a lot of dirty pictures in my life from the time I was born until presently. There are fewer dirty pictures now than there have been at certain other times in my life because you know how things go. So anyway, I think I got you up to, well, we were at the seventh. Okay, we had just had an almost huge failure in the cafeteria in the seventh grade. So I'm going to move on up. Moving on to the 8th and ninth grade. Okay, so by this time, I'm still running around with my girlfriends, and we are still trying to be way sophisticated beyond our years, doing really fun stuff and stuff like that. But I also have this best friend who is 3 years older than I am, and he's hanging around with me. And my other contemporary, when I say boyfriends, that don't mean boyfriends, it was friends who were boys. All right, and I mean macho boy friends who were boys that we didn't, whatever. But anyway, okay. So now we're in the ninth grade, and there's a full-on highway of porn going through everybody, all of us boys. It's a highway back and forth of porn. People are borrowing porn and loaning porn and trading porn and stealing porn left and right. But every boy in town, I'm telling you, in ninth grade, I think every boy in town had a great big old stack of dirty pictures and books and titillating things because we were interested in things like that. We couldn't help it. Our bodies were ready to, they wanted us to feature things like that in our lives. That's what our bodies wanted us to do at that time. So, anyway, my thing was, I somehow had a double whammy on it because we were getting the porn at the drugstore, and we were fighting over that and stuff. But I had like a huge, I think I might have had the killer dealer stash. Another friend of mine, I never saw his stash. It might have been better because he was more wily than we. But anyway, I kept it in a lockbox. One of those old metal lock boxes like you would put documents in, but I didn't have a key. But I thought, this is good enough. Somebody will see it and think, that's important. I better not get in there. That's somebody's really good stuff. And then I thought I would take all those dirty books and pictures in there, and I would put them under the front porch steps so that nobody would ever find them, because nobody would ever look under the front porch steps. You'd have to get down on your hands and knees and crawl under there, and nobody was going to do that. So anyway, but it was kind of like our us ninth graders. It was our way of life. I remember an afternoon, and I had gotten a new winter coat, and one friend of mine was down at the house, and I don't know how it was, but we had just loaded up a bit. I had a stack of dirty books down the back of my pants under this coat, and we were heading out because we were going to go distribute these to someone. I'm telling you, it was a business almost, except, well, money did not change hands with me, but I had one friend who had a nice little business by supplying dirty books to just a little bit younger boys who were just really eager to see the female form. Okay, but anyway, here's what's going on. So, I had this really wicked dream. It was so realistic. And in the dream, I was upstairs in my room, and my daddy came up and said, "Boy, I found them dirty pictures in that box up under the front stairs, and you're in big-ass trouble, man." And I was like, oh. And I woke up, and I was like, oh, thank God that was just a nightmare and something that would never happen ever in a million years. So that day, we did something. We went out. I was gone with Lonnie all day. We were out exploring. We were usually doing things like walking all the way down to his family's farm on Stevens Lane to investigate something, because we were friends mostly on really kind of cool, nerdy stuff that we like to do, like history and haunted houses and stuff like that, and creating illusions and stuff. Anyway, we had been out all day somewhere, and I came in, and it was the end of a very hot day, and my dad had been working in the yard all day. Now, my dad had just really preferred that I do that, but he never was able to get me to do it because I was a no good little sissy son. I just didn't want to do it. And I did mow the yard about a quarter of the time. But he also, I have to say something, he also really loved doing it. And he would have loved it if I had loved doing it and been like, show me how to do it correctly, Daddy. I want to do the best job. Then he'd have been out there with me the whole time. And we'd have been doing it together because he loved that. But as it was, I wasn't very good at it. So we came in on this afternoon. And I see that Daddy has trimmed all the shrubs within an inch of their life. And the yard is manicured every square inch of it. And anyway, I go in the house and Daddy says, hey, before you come in, come on the back porch. Come out on the patio. I want to talk to you. So every time my dad has ever said he's going to, for me to go out on the patio, it means I'm in bad trouble. He's come on the patio. I want to talk to you here. So I did. And I regretted it. He said, you thought you were pretty swift putting that big old box of filthy, dirty, filthy books up under the front porch, didn't you? And I said, I guess I did, Dad. I'm sorry. And he said, I want to know something. Where did you get those books? And I said, I don't want to tell. And he said, I know where you got them. You got them from that boy you're running around with that's 3 years older than you are, and he's a bad influence. And I don't want you to be around that boy anymore. I'm telling you something, I know that. Which led me to say the truth, because I kind of did drop truth bombs a lot all my life. And I said, really, the truth is he's got some, but it's what he got from me. I got most of these from girls. And my dad said, that's a goddamn lie. You got them from that boy. By God, I know. And it didn't do me any good to explain anything. He just said, I'm going to tell you something. I don't want to ever see you with that boy again. Don't ever. He's a bad influence on you. And I said, that's not fair, Daddy. So, of course, I told him. I said, Daddy doesn't want us to be friends anymore. And you know what he said? He said, as if that matters? Do you really think that matters? Okay, so I was, 14 and he was 17? He was like, well, it's not going to be that way. So there, about a week later, there was an auction next door to the house where I grew up, on the street where we lived. And a lot of people, their auctions were fun back then. Estate auctions, the house sold and everything, and it was hauled out to put on tobacco wagons. And 4, 5, 5. Anyway, and it was a really good one because these people had lived there since 1919 or something. And they were, anyway, big deal in the neighborhood. And then I was at the sale, and then all of a sudden I look up and oh my, well, look at that. That's my friend that my daddy doesn't want me to be friends with. And he goes, hey, what are you doing? And he's got his bike. And I said, I don't know. He said, want to go somewhere and do something? And I got my bike. And we were not riding them yet because it was kind of crowded, and we were pushing them just off property. And my dad said, Sammy! And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I just kind of grinned. And Lonnie and we just went off. Just went on. And I completely ignored his demand that I not be friends with my best friend. That was it. He never said it again. It was kind of over. But about dirty books. That continues a little bit. Okay. So then we are all best friends, and it wasn't about, the girls weren't into the dirty books like that anymore. Like, that was all just like a novelty thing. But, you know, when boys are 14, 15, 16, 17, they're very into the photographs of things that they desire. So anyway, my best friend is 3 years older than I am. And he goes to college. He goes off to the University of Kentucky. And we retain a tight friendship. He comes home. Most weekends he does come home. And we hang out with the same group that we always hung out with when he comes home for the weekend. And he is meeting new friends at the University of Kentucky. And I actually think it's when he was, honestly, I think it's when he was he freshman? Sophomore. And I think it was a sophomore, because I think I was a junior in high school. And I was young for my age, so I was still, I turned 16 Christmas time, junior in high school. So I'm going to tell you that I think I was actually 15, because this was the fall of Lonnie's second year. And my parents, let me tell you, super strict. I did a lot of bad stuff, but it was all sneaky. They did not want me to go anywhere. I used to have to, when I was dated girls, actually, I was quite interested in girls, and I dated them and had beautiful girlfriends I loved. And I would be so embarrassed because my dad would be more strict on me than their dads were on them. And one time I said, Daddy, you got to understand something. These girls' curfew is an hour after mine. You've got me dropping them off at their house a good hour and a half before they're even expected to be home, because I got to be back here in Bloomfield sitting there with you looking at me because you don't trust me. And he did lighten up a little on that. He did, but he never really lightened up on it. And it turned out okay. But what I'm telling you is I never got to go anywhere. And I'm still friends with all my girlfriends now that I was telling you about. They were officially on, just on, having good times. Was for them, they like to go to concerts. They like to go to concerts. They like to get on the bus and go skating. They like to do what was normal for girls their age, which was to meet boys their age or a little bit older, because we were all getting about that age anyway. So my friend who was at the University of Kentucky, he called me and he said, listen, we're coming into Bloomfield. I'm bringing two of my really good friends I want you to meet. Their names are blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I'm bringing Bloomfield. What do you say? I want them to meet you. And I was very excited, because nothing happened in Bloomfield ever. And then on a Sunday evening, and it was, I think it was winter time. The days were short. It was dark out, and it was kind of nippy at night. But I don't know. It's like, when they got to Bloomfield, they said, listen, we're going to go to Louisville. Just go to Louisville and just go exploring in downtown Louisville. Ask your parents if you can go with us. And it was a Sunday night. It was still quite early. I mean, it must have been 5:30 or something. It was getting dark when they said, okay, we're going to go to Louisville. So I asked, and miraculously, my parents said, okay, but don't be out too late. They must have had something else planned. I don't know. We went to Louisville. Now, I'm 15. I'm 15. I'm with my best friend Lonnie, who is 18, and his two new friends from college who are also 18. And we're in downtown Louisville, and all of a sudden, we are in an area of downtown Louisville that I had always heard about, but I had never seen in real life. And it was a lot like at that time. Do you remember the movie It's a Wonderful Life? And you remember what Pottersville was like? Girls dancing. It was like that. There was this area of 7th Street? I don't know, but it seemed so urban. I'm telling you something. When you're from Bloomfield and you're in downtown, it felt like, the streets of San Francisco. I am Carl Malden. You were in downtown Louisville. It was a Sunday night. And we were in the dirty, filthy, dirty bookstore neighborhood. And we were so excited about it. We were, and I was like, this is a strange dream come true, but I don't know, how did I get here? What's going on? I am but 15 years old, and yet I am so happy. I am about to see some of the dirtiest pictures I have ever seen in my life. And it says there, live shows. It's going to be good. Well, I'm going to tell you something. We went into 2 or 3 of the dirty bookstores, and I'm telling you something. My best friend looked so young that when he was carded and somebody would see that he was 18, then everybody else just went for free. And I got to say something. When I was 15, I did not look 18. But anyway, so the first 2 or 3 dirty bookstores were great, but they had given me an emergency thing, so if anybody asks you for an ID on this. So anyway, we're in this last one. And we had been going in the booths and putting our quarters in the thing and watching really filthy things. And you know what? They were kind of innocent too, because they were only 18, and we were like, oh. And I remember this one instance where there was a two-way mirror in front of you, but these lights would flash, and then you saw a live woman. A live woman was on the other side of this, a young lady who did not look very clean, and she was lying on an old filthy mattress that had no sheet. It was just the old mattress ticking with the buttons coming off of it. And she was completely naked, smoking a cigarette, drinking a Coca-Cola, and doing something quite vulgar, but very vulgar, but not like she was into it. And her big thing was like, hello, goodbye. Well, we watched that once, and she was like, put more money in, you'll see more. And we were all like, and the older boys went, I feel really kind of sorry for her, and I feel really dirty. I think we may need to get out of here. So anyway, so the last one that we went into, we're just headed back to go to look at the whatever they got back there behind the curtain, and the manager guy goes, hey you, Babyface Nelson, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm just here with my friends enjoying the night. And he said, I'm gonna need to see some ID. And I said, alrighty. And I marched up, and they watched me from a distance. They watched me go to the front of the store and present to him what they had given me to present if there was any doubt, and it was a University of Kentucky meal ticket. All it was just a piece of paper with a clock face on it that didn't even have numbers, and it was somehow a punch ticket or something, but it didn't even have like a name. And he said, well, what in the hell is this? And I said, it's my meal card from the University of Kentucky. And he said, son, this is not an ID. I can't accept this. And I said, yes, but listen, just think. Would I be a student with a meal ticket at the University of Kentucky if I were not 18? He said, hit the damn sidewalk. Get out of here before I get shut down. I go out. My friends do not exit with me. They did not exit with me. And I'm out there on the corner of 7th Street, and we lovingly came to call this Nasty Boulevard. My girlfriends, because eventually my girlfriends that I told you about, we ended up going down there too. That's probably in the this might be a 6th chapter thing about dirty pictures, but honey, I have to tell the truth. I have to tell you what happened. It's just the way it went. So anyway, I waited out there, and there were pimps and prostitutes. I don't remember. I don't think there were homeless people, hobos back then, but there were sure pimps and prostitutes, because that was the stroll. It was Nasty Boulevard, and I am 15 years old and overweight and just like underdressed and just standing there looking every bit of 15 years old on the corner. And I think my friends came out, honestly, about 25 minutes later. I was not mad at them at all. We went home. It was the best damn thing I thought I had ever done. And it gave me enough stories to make it all the way through the rest of my sophomore year at Nelson County. And I'm going to tell you this. I tried to talk fellow students into driving down there to Nasty Boulevard with me just for the thrill of being there. It wasn't about me enjoying the filth. It was about where we were. It was like, and I suggest we go, and I think we should even be kind of teases and kind of dress it provocatively, like that we're on the Vice Squad or something. I really wanted to do this. Listen, turns out, only a couple years later, kind of did that. But I'm going to let you go now because we have gone on. I see now. There's going to be a chapter 3 because I've only gotten up to, 15. Oh, no. I'm going to go further with it. So, the summer when I was 15, my sweet papa died. And they lived in my hometown. And my mama really took it very hard. And she was only 64 when he passed. And after family went home, like the kids who lived away, everybody eventually went home. And on the night she was going to have to be there alone, the first time, she called my mom and said, "Can you come out here?" And so Mom came home and said, "Listen, your mama's not doing really well, and she needs company, and she doesn't want to be alone. Do you think that you could go out there and stay for a while?" And I said, "Oh, I'll go out and spend the night." And she said, "No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Do you think that you could just kind of live with her for a while? Because she is really lonely and it would do her a lot of good. And she asked if you would do it. And I said, okay. And she said, can you get some things together? Because she wants you there tonight. And immediately I lived with my mama then, which was really quite fabulous. It didn't mean I could still come and go at my mom's house. And if I had cousins or aunts or uncles visiting, I was always free to go home. In fact, anytime I really wanted to go home, I'd say, "Mama, I'm going to go home tonight." But it wasn't that often. It worked out real well for everybody. But there was also this period of time there where I'm 15. It was during this horrible time when I've got all this porn. And like I said, if you're a 15-year-old boy and you don't have porn, you want porn, or you're disappointed that, I don't know, you're in Bible college or something, which is totally okay too. But anyway, I had it at my mama's house. And I'll tell you something, when I was there, because when I first came there, it was like, she kind of felt like I was doing her a favor, so she really just kind of coddled me, like, as she never had, because she wanted me to be happy there, because this time it wasn't like I was there with cousins and just there to play and I was there and we were living together as family, and it was wonderful. I would not take anything for that year and a half where Mama's was more my home than my parents' home was. The bond cannot be. But anyway, the thing was, what did I do? I thought, well, Mama, she's ignorant of so many things, and I didn't. And she gave me a real nice first floor bedroom there, and she said, here's this, all this, your drawers and everything. So I had a big stash of dirty books in one of those drawers. I came home from school one day, and my mom said, listen, before you go in there, I'm going to tell you something. I was in there cleaning up today, looking around a little. I opened that drawer. It's full of blackguard material. I'm going to tell you something, mister. And she teared up, and she said, I am so disappointed in you. I don't ever want you bringing any more blackguard material like that in my house. I don't ever want you bringing that in here again. Do you hear me? I'll tell your parents if I find any more of it. And I said, I'm so sorry, Mama. I'll never do that again. And of course it was gone because she threw it away.